Well, hello, LinkedIn, X, Twitch, Facebook, and of course, YouTube. My name is Frank Lavinia, and you can catch me at the following URLs, including a few other URLs that I'm going to be launching soon in the fullness of time, as we say. So before I go on and talk about the topic of today's video, which is how to run your own LLM server for under $300. I want to spend some time promoting or talking about my podcast, um, which has just launched season 8. That's right, season 8. Big shout out to Andy Leonard, my brother from another mother, who is my co-host and my co-conspirator in this journey. We had a great conversation with Chris Cooney on exploring data evangelism. And we have a bunch of surprises in store for season 8, including some stuff that got lost in the vault for season 7. And we're definitely going to be targeting getting those shows out there. Although if you do sign up for the video service, which shame on me for not knowing what it is, but I believe it's dated. Here it is. It's datadrivenmedia.tv. You can actually watch the raw and uncensored videos. Pretty much everything from the vault that's there. So go there, sign up, and you'll be able to watch it. There we go. That's the one I wanted to show. So datadrivenmedia.tv. It'll redirect you to, I think, a Vimeo site. Andy set it up. Andy's a genius. Not only is he a data engineer, but he makes things happen. All right, so I'm making sure that I have my audio is working today because the last couple times I streamed, there were some issues with the audio. Thank you for letting me know. I do read the feedback. I do read every comment. So before I continue with that, let's get to the main topic of hand. Obviously, if you're within the sound of my voice and you're watching this on a mobile device and you're in technology, chances are pretty good you know a thing or two about AI, and you probably heard a thing or two about AI. So when I first came up with this idea, so I'm loading up some things here. Dell server, there we go, and let's go here to one of my favorite YouTubers in the world is Network Chuck, who has his own private, here we go, let me share that screen again. So here is Network Chuck. Here we go, Network Chuck has a great video tutorial on how to install Ollama locally. And you can't hear this audio because I didn't share the audio, but basically he goes through, and I highly recommend watching this video. Put in the comments when you watch it that I sent you. But he built this machine here. He calls it Terry. But if you look very closely, you'll see that there are 2 NVIDIA 4090s, as well as a pretty solid motherboard to support it and all the RAM and all the good stuff that goes with it. When I price this out, just back of the napkin math, basically, each one of these video cards is $2,000. I think 1,800 is the cheapest. 1,890 something is what the cheapest I've seen. So let's round that up to $2,000. $2,000. The motherboard and the case with the cooling and all that. My back of the napkin math basically said it would be about $6,000. By the time you get a case and a tower and a motherboard that would support this, with a power supply and all that good stuff and the chip to make it worth it, you were looking at about $6,000. Apparently, somebody did the math, priced it out at $6,600. Now, as I was driving down the road, contemplating my life choices that got me to the point where I just can't, like Network Chuck, run out to the store or place an order doing this, I kind of had a bit of an epiphany. And that epiphany was, hey, wait a minute. Do I need to spend that much money? And the answer is you don't. So what I ended up doing last fall, actually, I think this is the device. This is the server I bought. I picked this up, refurb, literally right here on Amazon. Shame on me for not having an affiliate link, but you can click on this, do a search for this. So I got it for $359. Now it's $361. Actually, no, it was actually got it for $250. So inflation. So I might have to change the name of the title. But I got a server that was basically this setup, and it was $250. And perhaps I got a deal. Maybe it was Prime Day. I don't remember. But ultimately, actually, I think I got 90. Actually, I had more. This is interesting. This is a slightly different machine. So I have 32 cores. I guess it's just luck of the draw on what's been refurbished. I have 32 cores and 96 gigs of RAM, and I have a bunch of these bays. I also have the same number of bays on this. So what I ended up doing was I tried a bunch of machines in my house, and I was hoping that each one of these machines any one of these machines would be powerful enough to run it. Now, I started with my old faithful here. This is my trusty, rusty personal Lenovo, and it 32 gigs of RAM, i7 processor, solid machine. I ran it on this, pegged the machine, right? Basically blocked every process. It got to like 100% utilization. So much for this being kind of a use case. Now, if I'm just banging around and I'm just messing around, it doesn't really matter, right? Because, so what? The machine's locked up, right? Doesn't really matter. But one of the things I really liked about what he did was he built this for his kids. So they can use, he can build out like his own server so he can give this to his kids and be a lot more confident about what data gets shared and whatnot, more so than, say, the public AI LLM services. So what he goes through this whole process. So I set it up on that machine. I set it up on my desktop, and I set it up on that server. So it turns out that this actually, despite it not having a GPU, actually works pretty respectably. So I managed to get a server that was roughly these specs for about $259, if I remember exactly. But if you're creative, you can look around and you can get, here you go, 365. Yep, 16 core, right? So you can get one of these servers that are decommissioned. They're a few years old. I think new it would have cost, here we go. That is looking a lot more like it. There you go. But anyway, in any case, you can get a pretty old machine, 7-year-old server for a fair discount of money, right? It doesn't have to have a GPU. And if you follow all the instructions that are in this video, and if folks want me to kind of go through the install process right here through this on a live stream, let me know in the comments. But I think Network Chuck does it better, and he has a way better beard. I have a better hat, but some people would not agree. Anyway, so basically that's what I did. I followed his instructions. I pulled down a number of models, and I installed OpenWeb UI. Now, there are a number of other ones that are out here that kind of can do the same thing. But again, it's free. It's open source. You can install, play with what you want. I myself may install another one that I heard. I'm blanking on the name right now because one of my dogs is barking in the background. And ultimately, this has a lot of features. So let's kick this off. So I have a model here. I have a number of models that I've downloaded. I can go and I can pull down, if I go to Olama models, I believe is the URL. There we go. So these are all the models that are available. So for instance, there are ways to do this through the command line. But rather than SSH to my Ubuntu server where I'm running this, I can actually do this in the UI. Obviously, I'm on the admin account. This can be locked down. So I can go down and I can pull down Mistral. Pull Mistral from Olama. And it is canceled that. Oh, why is it doing that? File does not exist. Did I? Mistral. So you can tell this is live. Pull it down. It's pulling the manifest. It's going to download it. And we're now seeing that I am now adding Mistral to my option of models. So rather than watch that go, let me kick off another screen. And you'll see that in case you're wondering, I call the server Mars. And if you're not a listener of the podcast, then you know Andy and I are big fans of the series Expanse. The servers, computers in my house that are mine, not the work-related ones, are all named after ships in the Expanse. This is the Rocinante. And I have over here the Amun Ra. And I think Andy has a PC. His top line PC is, I think he calls it Donager. I do have a Donager over there that is going to do that. The server, for a fun fact, that is actually hosting this VM is actually a Windows Server 2019, and it's called Tycho, right? So I figured servers will be named after stations or planets in the Expanse. So this is Mars, and let's see what's going on. So this here is the model. This is Llama 3. It's 8 billion parameters. And what we can do now is we can run this and get fairly decent performance out of a $300-ish machine. So my total expenditure was $259 for the server. And hang with me. Like $40 for the hard drive and $10 for a big box of brackets like this, so I could fit in hard drives into the server. So about $300 plus or minus $10. You can get the idea, which is about 5% of what Network Chuck's server cost. Right, $6,600 is what the pricing would be. Again, all depends on the use case, right? Since I don't quite peg the machine when I'm making a query, I get it about 49% utilization. I figure, again, back of the napkin math, I could probably support 2 simultaneous users. Given that I only have 4 persons in my house that are of keyboard typing age, and I'm primarily going to bias this towards using the 2 older kids, that should be fine. Right? I don't think they're going to be using it at the same time. So even if they did, I think it would still support it. Now, that having been said, um, let's go here and we'll say, we'll run this and we can say, what is LinkedIn? How about that? So this is now going to my server, which is in the corner. Behind one of those monitors, and it is now entirely offline, pulling a Llama 3, and it's being served through this open web UI. And you'll see performance-wise, I mean, it's okay. I mean, ChatGPT, if you're not on the paid program, is about this speed, and it's acceptable performance, right? Again, it's really the privacy, right? So this is not hitting the web. It's not going online. It's not going to be part of a leak that any of one of these providers have been hit with, right? So this is really kind of really good in terms of privacy, and I can lock down what the kids ask for. But really of real interest, and you'll see this is really kind of slow. Um, I mean, it's acceptable. I think this is acceptable. Keep in mind, this is Llama 3. This is an 8 billion parameter. There is no GPU on this. If it had a GPU on it, it would be faster. Interestingly enough, on my Mac PowerBook, which is an M2, love that machine. I actually finally got it working on that. Ironically, with the Mac was the hardest to get working, but part of that was I used the installer, not the command line tool. The command line tool made it very easy. The short of it is that it runs really fast. In fact, I actually only get to about 20 to 30% utilization on the CPU when I'm running even Llama 3 on the Mac. So if I were so inclined, I could turn the Mac into an LLM server. But again, that laptop was about $2,000 when I bought it. I use it primarily because the battery life is supernaturally good. Like I don't know what they did. So let me cancel this, and I can stop this from running. I can go through, I can continue the response, I can regenerate, I can give it feedback, I can edit it. But what I really want to do is I want to show you where I think this really makes significant strides. So I'm going to run Phi 3, which is a 3.8 billion optimized, quantized, whatever. They basically had optimized one of the larger LLMs to use less precision of digits, which should produce a smaller memory footprint and actually better performance. So if I ask it the same question on the same hardware, what is LinkedIn? My dog is barking, and any minute now, the baby is going to wake up. So you'll notice how much faster this is. And I would say usability wise, I think this is slightly better. Now, there is an interesting side story here because I was messing around with this last night and I asked Phi 3, who's Frank Lavinia? And I do that because I'm just curious, like, has it been trained on my articles like ChatGPT? ChatGPT kind of knows who I am. It knows about the podcast. It knows about this. So I asked who was I, and it said I was a senator from New Jersey, or Frank Lautenberg. Got me and Frank Lautenberg confused. I personally hope that my bank my bank will get me confused with him, but I don't think they will. But anyway, couldn't find me, and then suddenly, I'm sorry, that was Phi 3 confused me with Frank Lautenberg. Llama 3 seems to think I am the founder and CEO of Battlestar Galactica: The Ride, a roller coaster located at the Six Flags Adventure Park in Jackson, New Jersey. Also created rides with various themes attractions based on science fiction properties such as Star Trek and Star Wars. Um, News to me. So, interestingly enough, I thought that was an odd hallucination. All right, so let's go back here. It's done. Right, so that was Phi 3. It's pretty performant. So now let's create a new chat with the model we downloaded, which would have been Mistral. Why is not Mistral not here? There we go. Mistral is there. Sometimes you have to refresh the list. So now I'll ask it, who is Frank Lavinia? Let's see what it says. That's the first time I've run Mistral on this. And it doesn't know who I am. So apparently I'm not a notable person in the eyes of Mistral, but that's okay. We see performance is actually slightly better than we saw with Llama 3. Now keep in mind, this is all happening on a $300 server. So again, with no GPU, right? So the main takeaway I want you all to have, whoever's within the sound of my voice, to take away is um, clearly I have a favorite baseball team, right? But also, um, you don't need a lot of money, right? I looked at that, and I'm a practitioner. I'm in this space. I'm comfortable in this space. Even when I saw that Network Chuck video, I had a little hardware envy. Not gonna lie. And that made me feel kind of, well, like I was missing out. But I was able to find an old machine, or not an old machine, but a machine that was new to me last year that I originally got to experiment with Kubernetes and OpenShift, um, that I've since repurposed to being kind of like my VM Hyper-V server. So the machine I'm actually running on is, I tried doing it on WSL on top of Windows directly, with the Windows server directly. Had some issues with getting Docker to run on that, and I kind of obviously troubleshot that. But I was like, you know what? I have Hyper-V. Let me spin up an Ubuntu VM. I gave it basically 80% of the resources to the machine because I have a VPN server also running on that box. It's like 80% should be fine. And you see, it's actually pretty good. Now, there are some tweaks I can do in terms of optimizing the number of cores I reserve and vCPUs and things like that. There's still obviously work I can do, but again, for $300, obviously, depending on what server you get, refurb, it's a pretty good deal. And again, whether it's 300, whether it's 400, you're still well under 10% of what this behemoth that he's got running, um, is on, right? It's definitely something that is far more approachable than you may think. Now, he's a big famous YouTuber, so good on him. Wish him the best. I'd love to have him on a live stream or podcast, or even just connect with him on LinkedIn. So, if anyone out there within the sound of my voice can make that happen, please do. But I'm a big respect for this guy. He actually has a new video, and what's interesting about him isn't so much that. All his stuff is tended towards infrastructure and network operations and security and things like that. So it's interesting alone. But when he dives into the AI, that he gets my attention. So he's also very entertaining in terms of how he delivers his YouTube videos. His edits are really good. He's not as uh, impromptu as I am, which I suppose, depends on what your cup of tea is. But the short of it is, go subscribe to Network Chuck, tell him I sent you. And he has a lot of great content. But again, if you look at it and you think, oh my God, I need a server that's that big, you don't, right? So that's it for me on this wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. It is a Wednesday, right? It's a logical Tuesday, as I like to call it, because Monday was in a holiday in the States. And with that, I'm going to sign off and I wish you all the best. I love doing these. I see I have a chat. Oh, it's from Twitch and it's a spammer. Cool. Yeah, I used to get upset when I'd get spam on my blog. I get spam in my live streams like this. But I see it as an indicator, a metric, if you will, of success because I'm worth spamming now. And, just a matter of how you perceive the world changes your perception of the world, which sounds incredibly obvious, but I think that there's a lot the world can learn from that incredibly obvious statement. So, with that in mind, I am going to end this stream and figure out why the dog is barking and wish you all a happy Wednesday. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see me do a full-on tutorial where I'll tear down this machine that I built and I'll rebuild it from scratch. All right, with that, have a good one.